So this originally came from Threads, which is fairly typical. It's where the majority of my engagement comes from. Sometimes Twitter and Blue Sky, but Threads usually. Uh, and this is a common kind of thing I've seen a lot, where it'd be a small struggling streamer trying to figure out why they're not getting views, etc., etc. This isn't even the most egregious I've seen. It's just somebody going, saying like, I'm doing these things, and you know, people should be watching small streamers and yada yada, which I don't disagree. He didn't say anything that I disagreed with. But when I was looking at, okay, so, fair enough. I mean, there are people who are doing things the right way. There are people who are doing a lot of good things that just aren't getting clicks. And those people I do have the utmost sympathy and empathy for. Which one's more appropriate? Not sure. One of those words applicable. And they'll be doing all the right things, but nobody clicking. But more often than not, the people complaining about lack of views are people who there's things they should be doing that they're not doing. And so I look at this guy, and his about page is empty, and he has no VODs published. He has only a couple of clips published, most recent being 8 days prior. He only had like 3 clips, and that clip he barely spoke. His most recent, anyway, barely spoke. And it was my first time seeing him. And it's like, okay, I cannot vouch for what networking may or may not have done, but basically it's, there's a variety of things you need to be doing. You need to fill out the about section. You need to be publishing your VODs. You need to be posting clips, publishing clips, yapping a lot more. And something occurred to me is the subject of publishing your VODs and clipping. So you should be going back and watching your VODs for a couple of reasons. One being to get a bunch of clips out of it. Depending on the game, depending on the subject matter, depending on my energy level, I will pull clips out typically, like on average, probably a rate of 1 clip per stream hour. And in more intense games like Doom, slower games like Mass Effect, I don't get as much because oftentimes it's just kind of playing the game. Just playing the game is not necessarily like super interesting, or at least not typically a moment that stands out. But more intense games like Doom, I was getting 2 clips per stream hour. So definitely be going back and watching your VODs. You might finish a stream and think, oh, nothing interesting happened. But you go back and watch your VODs, it's like, oh, that's an interesting moment. Oh, that's an interesting moment. Oh, that's an interesting moment. And you pull a bunch of stuff out, Sometimes you might decide that it needs to be edited. Sometimes it's fine as is. That's all subjective. Whether it needs to be edited or not, that's totally subjective. I actually don't have an answer for that in any particular. I really don't have an answer. I don't have an answer of whether it should be edited, needs to be edited. Do you need to add captions? It's kind of however you feel about it. But the point is, you should be getting those clips. However it's published, edited or not, you should be getting those clips out. And you'll get that from watching the VOD, or at least going through the VOD. But there's another reason why you should be watching the VOD, and this is a form of quality control. So the fundamental question that you need to be asking yourself is, would you watch you? On the subject of, if I'm trying to grow, right? I'm putting out this content. I want people to watch it. I want to be entertaining. Now, yes, you're trying to entertain people, obviously, is why we're doing this. But the question of what's entertaining is really what's entertaining to you. So you're not trying to entertain people who don't understand you. You want people to understand you. You want to entertain your kind of people. You want to be part of your own target audience. If you are entertained by your own content, you will be able to find people. It may take some work. I mean, I believe everybody has an audience out there. It just takes some time to find it. It can be difficult to find it. But you're never going to find your audience if you aren't even part of your own audience. So go back and watch your VOD and ask yourself, Would I watch this? Would I voluntarily watch this? If I was flipping channels, or if flipping channels on Twitch, flipping channels on the television, whatever the case may be, and this came on, I would stop flipping and sit down and watch this because I find this entertaining. Ask yourself that question. Because if you aren't entertained by your own content, how can you expect other people to be entertained by your own content? So, as you're going back through your VOD and collecting your clips, also ask yourself, is this entertaining? Even if a moment isn't necessarily clippable, is this entertaining? Would I watch this? And that should be your quality assurance standard. And if you don't feel that you're up to the standard of, I'm entertained by myself, then you do need to rethink things. But if you watch yourself and you think, hey, you know what, this is the best thing ever. I've never seen anything better than this. And that's maybe a little bit of a reach. But if you say, yeah, I watch myself and I really enjoy watching myself. I could just sit and, watch myself, a little bit of background noise, come back up and looking at it. And, I love watching my own VOD. If you reach that point, you're doing the right thing. You're doing everything right. Now it's just a matter of finding your audience. So that is my advice for any small streamer, doubting yourself, questioning yourself. Is my quality up to snuff? Just go back and watch your own content. And if you are entertained, then you're doing things right. Like I said, it's the kind of thing I've said before on social media. I just had never, clipped it. Plus one of that, it's the same with watching your own tournament fights or performances. Watching yourself is one of the hardest things to do. Yeah, because you could tend to be your own worst critic. And welcome in First Time Chat, Roam Some. Yeah, you could definitely be your own worst critic. And that's also kind of an element, too, because you might look at it and go, I could definitely do things better. And that's always going to be true as well. You might say, I could definitely do better. And you can definitely improve with experience. But that should be the target, right? The target, your goal for your content is, now of course it's much easier said than done, but your goal is, hey, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And there's always some growth. Like I can't honestly say that I'm there yet. I cannot honestly say, watching my own VOD, that it's the best thing that I've ever seen. But I am happy with quality. But there's just always room to grow.